everyone, this is Sarah Joyner here to talk to you about psychoanalytic theory. Sigmund Freud was the creator of this theory in therapy, and he grew up the oldest child of a working class family in Vienna. And as he got older, when he was in his 40s, he started to develop these fears and phobias of dying. And it led him to look back on his life and see what had happened that made him feel this way. And this is what happened to help him develop this theory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of background about him and his theory, and then I'm going to relate it to the Lion King. So Freud said that the personality has three parts, and they are different, but they're all connected in some way. So the first one is the id, the second is the ego, and the third is the superego. And the id is responsible for instincts. It is responsible for pleasure and for getting rid of any pain in your life. So if you say, I want something, the id says, go get it. I want it right now. The ego is kind of like the traffic cop, and I really like that the textbooks put it that way, and it's a great visual in my mind. The ego tells us to stop and look both ways before we cross the street. You know, if you want something, you need to stop and think about what might be the consequences if you do that. The superego is your moral compass. You can't have it right now, and it tells you why you can't have it right now. For instance, if I wanted something from the store and my id told me, well, just take it. It'll make you happy. My superego might tell me, you can't take something because it's wrong. And society has told me this is wrong because there are consequences. If you steal and you get caught, you might go to jail or get arrested. And my parents have taught me that stealing is wrong. Freud was all about studying the unconscious. And first you had to start with your repressed desire, repressed emotion, whatever that might be. You have to go back to the unconscious and find the root of the problem. And most of the time when people have these repressed desires or repressed experiences, that leads to some sort of anxiety. And when we have these anxieties, we have to find a way to, let off steam. And these are our defense mechanisms. And for some people, it might be denial, denying that you have any problem at all. And for some people, it might be rationalization, thinking about, it's okay that I'm doing these things, it'll work out in the long run. So if I was Simba's therapist, first I would discover what is his repressed experience. And by watching the movie, we know that his experience as a child was that his uncle killed his father, and that was very traumatic. He saw his father fall off the cliff, and he lost all trust he had for anyone. And his uncle told him that he had to run away and never come back. And this experience led to some anxiety. He didn't trust anyone, he was scared, and he wasn't sure that he could ever go back and face the people at home because he thought that he was responsible for his father's death. And the coping mechanism that Simba chooses is denial. And we know this because he goes off with Timon and Pumbaa and he says, Hakuna Matata, whatever. Life is going to throw what it's going to throw at me. I don't have to deal with my problems. I'm just going to go on and go get it. When he meets Timon and Pumbaa, they're asking him, who he is, what are you doing out here? And Simba denies that he's the king's son. He doesn't tell him who he is. He tries to be someone that he's not. And finally, later in the movie, Nala comes and finds him, and she confronts him about this too, and he says, you can't go back, you don't understand. And that's another coping mechanism. You don't understand. He feels like people don't understand him, so he doesn't have to explain himself. Here's a little clip from the video. I want you to watch it. It kind of shows you about his defense mechanism.
But I don't understand something. You've been alive all this time. Why didn't you come back to Pride Rock?
Well, I just needed to get out on my own. Live my own life. And I did. And it's great.
We've really needed you at home.
No one needs me.
Yes, we do. You're the king.
Nala, we've been through this. I'm not the king. Scar is.
Simba, he let the hyenas take over the Pride Lands.
What?
Everything's destroyed. There's no food, no water. Simba, if you don't do something soon, everyone will starve.
I can't go back.
Why?
You wouldn't understand.
What wouldn't I understand?
No. It doesn't matter. Hakuna Matata.
What?
Hakuna Matata. It's something I learned out here. Look, sometimes bad things happen.
Simba.
And there's nothing you can do about it. So why worry?
So here we see that Simba has as Simba's therapist, it would be very important to not project your feelings onto him. You would need to let him put the pieces of the puzzle together. A lot of times with this type of therapy, the therapist will use a couch so that the client can't see their face and see what they're thinking. So if I was going to tell you one thing I wanted you to learn about this theory, it would be to be patient. It doesn't happen overnight, and all of your past experiences will come back and at some point in your life affect you.